Don't worry guys, I ain't going all anti-2A on you. There's just some Benchmade models that are too damn good to pass up. This one, with exception to having the sensation of a very underpowered Omega spring, is absolutely amazing. Excellent ergonomics from the factory, just the way it is, standard configuration, even the pocket clip. Everything about it is amazing. I love it. I wish they would have continued to do the hollow grind for the blade, but the way they do it now with the flat grind is perfectly fine. This thing still cuts pretty damn good. Hell of a lot better than a Hinder, I'll tell you that much. And you know, you have a blade that has some strength to it, so definitely a great everyday carry knife. And I will say it's very easy to deploy, and it deploys reliably, even though, you know, it would feel better to me, more satisfying if the string was, if the spring was a little bit stronger. It would, the action would definitely feel better, because I would be able to get, have more resistance and really, you know, fling it out. You can kind of overpower the weakness with your thumb. My middle finger just doesn't go quite as fast. But, you know, definitely not an issue as far as the knife or the design. You know, as far as safety or mechanical or just the function of the knife. Just kind of a personal preference thing. But this thing, oh my God, great ergonomics, carries great, feels great. I love the way they did the G10 on this. The open back construction with the pop of blue, with the layered G10, and then the anodized standoffs. Really knocked it out of the park with this one. Really a shame they stopped making this model. This is the 550-1. And then the one that you can still get is the Benchmade 550. That is, it has a FRN or a polymer handle. It has an enclosed back and S30V blade steel, I believe. I know they made them in both S30V and 154 CM or CPM 154, one or the other. And then the 550 HG is the sheep's foot Griptilian with the hollow grind. Then right here, Blade HQ exclusive Benchmade 940 CPM M4 blade steel DLC coated blade. Has the penis clip, natural jade G10 scales, and the Omega springs for this model feel perfectly matched as far as disengaging the crossbar lock. Nice and easy, but it has, I guess it also has to do with thumb stud placement and the distance in relation to the pivot, as far as, you know, how far down the blade it is, and then also how close it is to it on this axis. So all those things affect the leverage that you have from the thumb stud. So if you put it in a spot, you know, way out here, and then even a little bit up, you're putting it at a part where you have a lot more leverage naturally. You know, it's just mechanics. So even if it has the same, even if this knife right here has the same exact strength Omega spring, you're gonna have the sensation that it's much weaker because you have a lot more leverage at that point. So it's going to make it feel like it's underpowered. But this one feels nice and snappy, nice smooth action. On one of these I actually polished the washers, if not both of them. And both of these are actually rocking my signature edge. So this is a little bit more along the lines of what you would typically see from me. This one is sharpened at 17 degrees per side, finished at F400, and then stropped 631 on basswood. And then this one I did 21 degrees per side to keep that nice tiny bevel, since it's such a short blade grind from the spine to the apex. And I did this one, I think, finished with F240, and then I stropped on like 963 micron gunny juice on basswood. I know I did a little bit different than the 20 CV because the M4 seems to not like a polished edge very much. From all the M4 I've sharpened, I've never gotten extremely good results with a polished edge on CPM M4 blade steel. When you polish it, it just loses its bite too easy and kind of slicks off. I think it does better with a more coarse grit edge, and that allows you to keep more of that bite. And it doesn't have to be coarse. I mean, you can see it's still polished, but it's just not to the extent. It's just less polished than my typical progression that I found works really good on a lot of other blade steels. And then this one right here, my baby, this is still rocking the factory edge, but I have stropped this a couple times, and I might put an edge on this one today. This is actually my first day not carrying my 15V Manix, which is really weird. I feel a little bit naked without it, but I had to spread the love because up until I got the 15V Manix 2 gifted to me from Chris, this was essentially my my everyday knife, the one that I might switch out the other ones that I'm carrying, but this was always in my pocket. Absolutely love it. And I just feel goofy carrying two Manix 2s, so it's kind of like one or the other. I figured I'd give the 15V a rest for the day. And there's also another reason for it, believe it or not, and that has to do with a little tiny issue I'm having with the Rockscale Designs linerless skinny hexi pattern titanium scales that I have on it. So the scales are done beautifully, the machining is beautiful, the finish on it, the blasted finish, very durable, has a little bit of texture to it, so it's nice and grippy. Outstanding scales, absolutely love them. Don't regret getting those by any means. But the screws, the handle screws, you have two on each side, and then you have the pivot screw. So the handle screws on both sides keep on working their way out. I catch them as soon as the knife starts getting loose, and then I tighten them back down. So I haven't lost a screw, but I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. If it's a issue with the finish on any of the SPYDERCO parts from the factory, like the piece that houses your spring and ball cage and everything, kind of like that back spacer looking deal that sits between the two scales up in the front of the knife. I'm wondering if maybe I need to lightly sand the surface of that on both sides and not really remove any material, just, you know, really lightly make sure it's nice and flat, no you know, burrs or defects from the factory machining on that, because, you know, there's a chance that there's something that, you know, might not have caused an issue when you were using it along with the steel liners, but now that the steel liners are out of the picture, for some reason it just seems to want to work its way loose. And then the other possibility is that the lanyard tube I found was actually very easy to get out of the liners from the 15V. I just, you know, pulled it out, but it was still kind of like a press snug or press tight fit. It just didn't fight me to get it out. But then when I installed the Rockscale Designs linerless scales, they kind of fit right over top of it, and your lanyard tube is the only thing to keep the scales from kind of twisting or torquing up and down or side to side at the base of the knife, because the handle's all screwed together up towards the top near the pivot. And if that lanyard tube is not a very, you know, nice, perfect, tight fit, then unfortunately things are going to be able to kind of work their way loose. And I really think that is most likely what's going on. So because I love the scale so much, last night I went on Rockscale Designs website and actually ordered their backspacer that they make. So I figured if any, or not backspacer, their lanyard tube, I figured if any lanyard tube is going to work optimally with those scales, it's got to be the one that they make. So give that a try, and if not, it'll at least look really good, and I'll, you know, continue to go down the list and until I figure out what's going on. So currently I have that on my desk with all the screws freshly Loctited and tightened down into place, and I'm gonna actually let that sit and not flick it or anything, use it, and that way has a chance to harden up, and then see if it doesn't keep it from coming loose just by that. So yeah, that is the knives that I'm carrying today, and a little bit of updates on some stuff. So anyways, I'm about to be at the shop, guys. Thank you all for watching. I love you. Jesus loves you. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.